What's the only nutritional supplement I've been taking for the last 5 years? Masszymes. Let's talk about it.
So I believe that Masszymes is the ultimate food management product. In other words, you know, if I want to go on a Saturday night and go to a restaurant and need some food that might not be optimal, or if I want to get more results out of my protein, all I need to do is take some Masszymes and I'll be able to digest the protein better, or I'll be able to break down the food that might be more on the junkier side. It just doesn't matter. It's just a great food management tool. What's your thoughts on that?
You know, I've been using Masszymes steadily now for, God, what's it been, 5 years? When I first discovered enzymes and how it affected the body and why it's so important in, you know, digesting food, and you know, if you look in the medical research, it'll say, well, you make your own enzyme. The reality is, if you're making your own enzymes to digest your food, you're stealing those enzymes from somewhere else. And we've written a lot about it, the turkey dinner syndrome. I think everybody's had that Thanksgiving dinner where you're just loaded up, you've eaten all this food, and what happens? You go lie down on the couch and you pass out, you know, the drool's running out of your face and all that stuff. We've all been there. And the interesting part is, what's the thing you do right after, as soon as you get up from that stupor, is you go, I'm hungry. Right. How could you possibly be hungry? And I didn't understand this until I met Dr. Michael O'Brien, and he explained it to us. Remember that seminar, how the body is actually stealing amino acids out of the smooth muscle tissue and using it to make proper proteins, and also to use enzymes. Now, that doesn't seem like such of a big deal. I mean, I get kind of worried if I think of my muscle mass, my smooth muscle mass dissolving, if you will. What about the long-term effects, the aging process? You know how athletes peak at around 28 years old physically. You look at all the running backs in the NFL, very few of them operate at a peak level beyond 28 years old. And why that is you hit your maximum capacity to take up amino acids by digestion of your food. And that ratio starts to break down. And so where does your body get protease? Protease is the enzyme that breaks down protein. Mm-hmm. Where is it going to get it? Well, the body works on efficiency. It's going to break down your muscle tissue and use that to digest.
I want to bring it back to a really important point, which is it's not how much protein we're taking in. The protein companies would like to make us believe that, of course, it's important, but it's how much protein we're breaking down, absorbing, and assimilating. And you can't do it without enzymes. You can take protein all day long. If your body doesn't have the enzymes to break it down, you're not going to break it down to amino acids, and without the amino acids, you're not going to have muscle growth. You want to talk about that? I mean, you want to talk about the protein methodology and how many grams of protein you have been taking, and how the Masszymes has completely changed that perception that, oh, I need 200 grams of protein a day, and all that kind of stuff that the marketing companies want to make us believe.
Yeah, and you know, I've gone through the whole evolution in that. You know, we're starting out with, you know, how and you've been there too, Matt, where you start out, and I mean, basically every question that you ask is, how much protein is in this meal? Am I getting enough protein? And as soon as you stop gaining weight, you hit a plateau, you think, I'm not eating enough protein. I can remember days when I was back at one time eating 400 grams of protein a day. And if you look at the top bodybuilding magazines, you see a lot of guys that are cranking 500, 600 grams of protein a day. You got to understand something. That kind of stress on the system isn't good, because in nature, in naturally occurring verse, every single species eats raw food. Humans are the only people that cook it. Now, when you cook something, you destroy all the enzymes naturally present in the food. Okay, so we got to understand, whatever we're eating, chances are it's got no enzymes in it. So our body has to break that down. That has a metabolic cost. Anything that takes away from your metabolism hurts your growth. damages your health and has the potential of becoming a toxin inside the body. Undigested food is a toxin. So we see all these studies about you have to limit the amount of protein, or you can only have this much, but guys are stacking it on top of each other and building up intestinal issues. So the question comes in then, what do I need to do? Well, if I'm eating meat, the metabolic time frame to break that product down is considerable. They're saying with a steak it's 72 hours on average, assuming that your digestive capacity is at its optimum. Seeing the challenges the body is having of breaking down. The food's in your stomach, but it's not delivered to your muscles.
Yeah.
That's the difference between consumption versus absorption.
So Wade, let's talk about your 21-day transformation. The fastest, most impressive, fat-burning muscular transformation you've ever experienced in your entire training career. Talk about how Masszymes helped you with that process.
It just wasn't possible without them. And what that means and when you get this program, you're going to see. It's probably the most intense stress you could subject your body for in a span of 3 weeks. I'm not kidding you. We're jumping on we're doing the aerobic threshold training. We're hitting the gym at the muscle mastery peak levels multiple times a day. We're on a calorie restricted diet. We're in the hyperbaric. We're doing so much stuff. Basically, the whole kitchen sink is crammed in, and there was a method to the madness, if you will. But the extreme metabolic demands meant I need to pull as much amino acids into the system to improve growth and repair inside my muscles without putting extra stress on the system. Also, because I was training so much and because I was training so hard, I wasn't catabolizing my muscle tissue in order to make the enzymatic processes to just handle that kind of training.
And we talked about that many years ago, the metabolic drive, which is, increasing anabolism as much as we can, which as natural guys is a limited amount. But the key element, and this is the one people don't focus on, is minimizing that catabolism, minimizing that muscle tissue breakdown. If you want to get lean and ripped, you've got to lose a lot of body fat. And we've all seen this before, and I've experienced it, you've probably experienced it as well, where I had lost 61 pounds in 14 weeks. The problem was 25 of it was lean body mass. But you know what? I didn't have Masszymes back then. I didn't know what we know now. I think Masszymes, as far as preventing that muscle loss, keeping that body in an anabolic state, it's unparalleled. It's amazing.
Just to echo that, one of the things that you feel a big difference in is muscle soreness. Right? That's the big indicator. When you have a really great workout, you're feeling that deep down in your tissues. When I'm taking Masszymes, it just relieves that, because what's happening is my body's actually repairing. One of the big advantages in why guys take steroids is not so much it's because of the growth factor, it's because of its anti-catabolic factor, and that's why typically when they're losing weight on a contest diet as a using athlete, if you will, they're able to maintain their muscle mass on a very, very low caloric diet. It allows them to get that razor sharp part. And as a natural guy, the reality is that's a struggle. So I can relate back to when I did that kind of diet program way back in the day. Without Masszymes, as a natural athlete, I was going a long period of time in 2003. I didn't have that. I was tired, I hurt, my body was hurt. Yeah, I got in condition, but I wasn't at maybe the best I could possibly, because there was a certain cost to my training and to my dietary program, and it took me years to figure that out. And Masszymes was one of the key factors inside it. And in fact, there's some other factors in the 21-day program.
Well, thanks, Wade. Now it's time for you to take Masszymes. It's time for you to say yes. All you need to do is push the button now on the bottom. All you need to do is say yes. Say yes to Masszymes and get ready for an incredible transformation.
Masszymes. Don't eat food without it. I just like to chew them.